My blind date texted that she had finally arrived and was sorry for being 15 minutes late to pick me up. But we'd already been driving for 10.
This is why you should never rob a grave. In 2016, a man took some coins from the Rhode Island gravesite of accused witch Bathsheba Sherman. Bathsheba is most well known as the evil spirit from the movie The Conjuring. After removing the coins from the grave, the family began to experience strange and unusual phenomena. Initially, the man did not make a connection to the stolen coins, until one day when this face appeared next to the safe where the coins were stored. Looking at a photo of the actual Bathsheba and the apparition that appeared, there's little doubt in my mind that that man brought home more than coins from the gravesite that day.
Abrió sola, cabrón. No mames. La muñeca se movió, Chicho. Chicho se movió con la muñeca, güey. La madre, güey. La madre, güey. Se movió la muñeca.
The camera in this guy's house caught a shadowy figure running across the room. I'm gonna roll the clip right now.
As a child, I always enjoyed putting two mirrors next to each other to create an endless mirror tunnel. I stopped doing it when I saw that thing climbing through the mirrors towards me.
Paranormal hospital stories. This story comes from a nursing home in Southwest Virginia that is believed to be haunted. If there are any paranormal investigators who are watching this near that area, you might want to check this place out. One worker saw what she describes as a shadow-like figure enter the room of one of the patients. She immediately checked on the patient, but found her deceased. Other workers in the nursing home have also seen this happen just before a patient is about to die. But there's even more paranormal activity happening in this nursing home. At least 20 different residents have refused to stay in one of the rooms. They all described seeing two small children watching them. The last incident involves a resident who brought his little black dog to live with him at the facility. After the resident died, the dog died shortly after. Now to this day, many residents complain to staff about seeing a little black dog run through their rooms and keeping them awake at night. Shadow figures, ghost children, and a ghost dog. I'm staying away from that place.
Careful when looking at old pictures, you might see the man with the upside down face in one. Click the plus, drop a like, tag a friend, save yourself. The upside down man is one of the meanest and the scariest monsters alive. He personally feeds off of death and fear, so be careful. Behind me, as you see him in this tragic car accident. Supposedly this picture is from the 1960s, and this is when he started to appear. He himself cannot make the events tragic, but he can make them 10 times worse. By making simple arguments turn violent. My question to you guys is, have you looked at old pictures?
Can I show you a really creepy video? I literally screamed the first time I saw this video. So just be careful, trigger warning, jump scare, all of that. I also found this one during my Twitch stream, and this one got me, okay? I'm just gonna show it to you. I will tell you this, pay attention to this corner, okay? Okay, here's the clip. Did you catch it? No? I'll show you. I'll show you.
This medium accompanied some guy that thought he was being followed, and they saw something standing by the tree watching them. I'm gonna roll the clip right now.
Hay alguien en el árbol. Hay alguien en el árbol, hijo de su madre.
Scariest Things Police Have Seen, Part 46. This was sent to me by a nephew of a trucker who had an encounter with a police officer. This trucker was driving on Highway 152 in California. He got pulled over by a highway patrol officer. It was odd though, because the police vehicle looked like an older 80s model unit. The officer gave him a ticket and left. Later on, the trucker went to the courthouse to fight the ticket. The judge looked at the ticket, got up and asked, "Do you think this is a joke?" The trucker said, "Why?" The judge told him that the officer's name and ID number used on the ticket belonged to an officer that had died on that freeway almost 40 years earlier.
Ghost story time. So this is the first time I'd ever stayed over at my boyfriend's house, and it's in Vegas, so I knew I was going to wake up dry and gross. Because you know when you stay over at somebody's house for the first time, you don't have overnight stuff, you feel gross. I know I'm going to wake up parched. I had to get up really early the next day, so I set my alarm and I just mentally prepared myself for being gross and dehydrated when I woke up. And in the middle of the night, I woke up to an ice cold hand grabbing mine, and it wasn't his. It was like from the other side of the bed. So I woke up freaked out. When I saw nothing was there, I went back to bed. But when my alarm finally did go off and I woke up, I was so excited because there was a new bottle of Fiji water by the bed. So I took off, and later I texted him, "Thank you for the water. I really needed it." And he goes, "What water?" And I go, "The one you set by the side of the bed." And he goes, "I didn't set a water by the side of the bed."
It's story time. Take a seat. I don't know the weather. The man above is known by Vincent, or sometimes Vince Lee. He was born on April 30th, 1968. For the most part, he seems normal, and he even graduated from the Wuhan Institute of Technology with a bachelor's degree in computing. But what he did to this man pictured above, who went by Tim McLean, was downright disturbing. On July 29, 2008, Lee boarded the 1170 Greyhound bus and sat in the front rows. A few stops later, he would switch seats to the back next to McLean. It's unclear why he made the switch. McLean would barely acknowledge him, slipping his headphones in before he tried to get some sleep. It was quiet for about 30 minutes until a scream broke the silence. Lee was stabbing McLean again and again in the throat with a knife. Bus driver immediately pulled up alongside the road as chaos erupted among the passengers. Lee would end up being trapped in the bus, but would proceed to decapitate McLean and then show the head to the passengers. They even watched in horror as he began to eat parts of him as well. He'd received 6 years in a mental hospital. Like and comment.
Shy Unique Legacy was live streaming on Facebook from their home in Fort Pierce, Florida, when they captured something truly bizarre on camera. When Shy Unique thought they saw something odd moving around the trees near their home, they decided to open the door and begin filming. The video was taken just after dusk, and the only real light comes from the far side of the yard. At first, nothing seems amiss. The uploader zooms in more closely to the area where they thought they saw the strange movements. Moments later, their patience is rewarded when a large white entity darts across the tree line.
This is the exact spot that I just...
The camera holder quickly yelled.
What's up, you guys? It's your favorite goth Wisconsinite here with one of the spookiest stories for you. Today we're headed to Land O'Lakes, Wisconsin to talk about what is arguably one of the most haunted houses in American haunted house history. Without further ado, welcome to the Summerwind Mansion, one of my most requested stories. Buckle up because this story has everything. It has ghostly shootings, it has disappearing corpses, it has exploding cars and spooky pianos. We got a little bit of everything today. The Summerwind Mansion, also known as the Lamont Mansion, was built in the early 20th century to serve as a fishing lodge, as it's located right on West Bay Lake. So then, come 1916, a man by the name of Robert Lamont buys this mansion to have it serve as his family's vacation property. Pretty fucking cool, right? No? Pretty much right away, the Lamont family started noticing really spooky things, and in one night in particular, Robert Lamont thought he heard an intruder and even thought he saw a real person walking around his house, so he shot at this figure only to find out it was an apparition, and he shot right through it into the wall. So Robert's wife, Lucy, becomes super depressed about all this and tries escaping Robert in the house multiple times, but doesn't become successful in doing so, and they end up dying there. And now that sounds like a spooky enough story, right? No, there is so much more to this. Y'all are not even ready. So here comes the next family. So now Arnold and Ginger Hinshaw move into the house in the 1970s and actually only stay there for 6 months because of all the crazy stuff that happened. So what could have possibly happened that made this family move out of such a beautiful mansion in just 6 months? Well, Voices were constantly heard coming from rooms that were definitely empty. One time, Arnold's car just simultaneously bursted into flames with no mechanical issue really ever found. Appliances would break and then repair themselves on their own. Then one of the most frightening events occurs. So one day Arnold is trying to paint a room and there's a big piece of furniture. So he moves the piece of furniture to paint the wall behind it, only to find a crawl space. But he realizes he can't fit in the crawl space. So when his daughter Mary gets home from school, she offers to, crawl right in there, check things out. This little homie does not find Narnia, let me tell you. She actually comes face to face with a corpse that is like super rotted but still has a full head of hair. And this is just like a summary of what the Hinshaws went through there. But once again, the story isn't over. So Arnold really just spirals into madness and ends up being committed to a mental institution while Ginger takes the kids and moves out. Like, she is done. You're probably thinking the family is going to have nothing to do with this house anymore, right? Nope, wrong again. Ginger's father buys the house to turn it into an inn and restaurant, and we're going to talk about his creepy experiences in part 2. Spoiler alert, it gets even fucking weirder. What's up, you guys? It's your favorite goth Wisconsinite here with part 2, talking about the Summerwind mansion. If you don't watch part 1, this is probably going to be kind of wild and confusing, so check that out and report back. So I left off in part 1 talking about how Ginger Hinshaw's father purchases the Summerwind mansion despite what his daughter had gone through at this place. Now, he purchases it to convert it into a restaurant and a beautiful inn. And while Bobber is staying on the property, he discovers that Jonathan Carver, a famous 18th century colonizer, is apparently haunting the Summerwind. They keep in touch with each other via Ouija boards, trances, dreams, and then automatic writings. Now let's jump back to part 1. I mentioned that when Ginger and Arnold moved in, they found a body in the walls. Apparently they never reported it to authorities, and I couldn't really find information on why, but Ginger finally brings this up to her father that they had found a body in the walls. So they go back to find it, and it's gone. So now we have even more wild claims. We have a missing corpse that it has disappeared from the walls. We've heard voices, cars have exploded, people have descended into madness. We have just about every major wild claim. Here's where it takes an even crazier term, I dare say. Bobber claims that the house's dimensions would change just on a regular basis. And it was said that construction crews even noticed this and got so annoyed that he couldn't find people to work on the house because they would get so frustrated with the changing dimensions of the house. Dare I say this house is a literal monster house. I'd say unfortunately Bobber never got to open the house as the restaurant and inn that he intended it to be, but I mean it's probably better for the health and safety and well-being of the public that it never opened. So finally in the 1980s, the mansion is once again abandoned and it's falling into disarray. Kids are partying there, which is so creepy. P.S. If you've partied there when the building was still there, please comment down below. And then in 1986, investors bought the property to kind of just try and revamp it once again. But then in 1988, lightning struck the property and it burnt down. Now the ruins of the Summerwind Mansion are the only thing left of the property, and people come from far and wide to check it out. Please be advised though, I am not condoning the actions of trespassing on the property. It is private property and I'm not trying to send anybody there. But if you do have any personal accounts of spooky things that have happened on or near the property, I would love to hear from you. Feel free to make a TikTok and tag me. Otherwise, comment down below or share this video and tag me on other platforms. Thanks for sticking around for a whole 6 minutes, and I hope you guys enjoyed hearing another tale about America's Scary Land.